Hi friends, let's take a look at Ethereum, and I'm doing all the videos separately today, just a wee announcement, instead of doing the combined one, and I'm going to mix it up a wee bit throughout the week, see how they perform and all the rest of it. And as well, I think it's maybe a good idea to have them separate because people can kind of get a little bit of that extra value out of things just by having them separated out from time to time, and then having a combined one, and you can go back and you can watch the separated ones out and blah blah blah, and it's all good crack like that. So let's take a look at the charts, and we've come up here towards the top end in the recent days of this descending broadening wedge, which we're calling this at the minute, and then sunk back down to the where it was line, which is of course where this was before when we had it as a sort of parallel channel towards the downside, or a descending triangle, or any of the other ones that involves a sort of downward sloping trend line on the top side of the price action, which has ultimately got broken through here when the price has moved above that sort of 238 area, and when as high as the sort of the 248 area, or the close to the 250 area, without actually managing to successfully sustain the price action up there, and then came down again. But there are a couple of interesting things to be bearing in mind. For instance, this price action here the other day was actually higher than the price action that we had over here in terms of the wick. Just stretch this out a bit so you can see what I'm talking about. In terms of the wick here, there will be moments in the daytime when this was being traded that you'd have thought, hey, we're actually on the way to do this and be higher than what the prices were over there on the 11th of June, but that never ultimately happened, and instead it remained as being lower here. So that's something to look out for, to be aware of when the prices are kind of smooshed and you're looking at it thinking, is something going on when it actually isn't. And we're looking towards these two previous highs here and asking then, if this is an upward trend, is it coming in as being divergent? And you can see that it isn't. It's kind of got that bullish convergence, you could say, on it, with this high being lower than the subsequent high, and likewise that being represented on the oscillators down below. What we have is the overall, this has kind of come out into the overbought territory on the stochastics. Will we manage to see this come up here and sustain a period of slight overboughtness, so that we can move towards the top side? Oh, in fact, I tell you what, did a whole Bitcoin episode there, and I forgot to turn on the EMAs and the oscillators. So there you go. That'll be another reason to check in again tomorrow, because I'll not go back and redo it or anything. I'll just put them on here for this episode for these guys. So you can see as well that we've got the Bollinger Bands in the background and the EMA. So there's a lot of noise in this chart. I appreciate that. I know it is. Subscribers can kind of hopefully see the needles in the haystack there, because they'll be oh my god, it just gets worse and worse. Because they'll be at least slightly familiar with this, having looked at it. Looking down the way here, we do still have the volume kind of diminishing. It has picked up a little bit here in the recent time with this movement towards the top side, but it's not like going up above where it was the last time we were in this sort of region. And you can kind of ask questions about whether or not we would see the momentum coming into the market here or not, if the prices come back up towards that 246, 247, 248 area, anything kind of below the 250s area, where we see the top of the Bollinger Bands at the minute coming in at that 249 area as well. So if we did get up there, then 249, that would be the challenge zone between here and, of course, the top here at 252, because long wave 252 for everybody that's who's in the British Isles but listen to that Dublin-based radio station on the long wave radio when they were growing up. So yeah, so we could be going up towards long wave 252, but that is of course a long wave away from here, and it would be and we could look towards the Bollinger Bands to try and find areas of where we could see the prices being drawn back towards, if that were the case. But I would hesitate to look towards that before you've got a closeout higher than 247, 248 to beat this previous high here, and of course challenge where the sort of the inflection point in the market, which is in around that area. Yeah, just going to have to kind of like think about it from that point of view. You could have kind of, if this high hadn't come in quite like this and it just shaken down the way, then maybe you could have thought of this thing as being somewhat cup and handle-esque between the 23rd of June and the 8th of July. It's quite a short period of time for one of these things on the daily time frame. But with this sort of twin peak type psychology here, where it shook the market down, but it didn't actually quite achieve a sort of twin peak in terms of this first high. The second one kind of went up higher than it. Overall, this has been flux during this period. I would kind of look towards this and ask, if we were to then go down afterwards, halfway down, a retrace down the way here over a period of days, then I could look towards whether or not we could then turn around the prices at that point, coming in with the EMAs about the 21 daily down there at 236, perhaps even at the baseline of the Bollinger Bands at 234, or the 50 simple moving average in there at 233. And if that does happen, then I'd be kind of asking new questions in around that zone with regard regards to, of course, things like whether or not we're on a downward trend with any divergence or anything else. And if we've gone back down between the neutral line and the bearish control zone there on the RSI, let's just go down towards the 4-hour time frame and check in on it from this point of view. And as you can see, we're tracing along here towards the top side currently with this one. So in terms of like the mini minis time frames, what we really can look towards, I suppose, is that 242 area, to say that we're breaking back down into the sort of the range here of the Bollinger, and whether or not we could break down further on past that zone, having had the volume increase in terms of the standard deviation points from it here, and in general as well, just a little bit during this upward trend section of this. But we also saw it dropping off there. Oh yeah, yep. And we got a bit of a bearishly divergent high in there. So we know that there's this downward sloping trend line at 247, and you can see there's a red candle here currently on the 4-hour time frame, of which there's probably plenty of time left. Another 2 hours to go on that one. Yeah, checking my watch when it's on the chart. Yeah, I'm old school like that. So then, but we could be looking toward, we could be asking questions about this over the next wee while about, just how this prices are performing in around that area. And you can see that while there was this bearish divergence here, that we get this sort of, we've just kind of overall got a bit of a resetting of the oscillators with it coming down towards the neutral line and being rejected from the bearish control zone. And this is happening around the same sort of time as we're having us come up towards the overbought zone on stochastics. So we can kind of just consider this to be natural, but with looking towards real targets to actually put the sort of light a fire under its ass if you're looking towards that 250 area. Otherwise, you've got the fuzzy line in there at 242 really, and then the where it was line at 237, and then you could be looking on down the way, having gone down between the median line of the Bollinger Band. And then if you look up towards a higher time frame such as the 12-hour, then you could, if you're looking towards striking this down towards the lower range of this, then the range has still got to be considered to actually come all the way down as far as that 222 area before you start asking it questions about, hey, are we faking out or are we breaking out? And that's kind of what I'm looking at with regards to Bitcoin or Ethereum, for today. Now, of course, I don't give people signals and all the rest of it. We don't do that on the channel. We do have a Discord where you can discuss things with people, and of course, like bandy away tips and everything else if you want to in there. No problemo. Just don't be an ass about it. And join the community. No problem. And leave comments down below if you want to discuss anything in greater detail. And what I like to do on the show, by the way, is to kind of give people the encouragement to stick past the point where I said goodbye by saying cheerio like I just did there now, and then going on and sticking a couple of minutes of extra sort of bonus material in there. If we look here at the 12-hour time frame, now let's go down to the 4-hour time frame to make it more significant looking. You can see that what we've got on the go here is this kind of slightly upward trend, looking at this versus the Ethereum versus Bitcoin, where we've had the highs coming in here at 0.026, with it being bearishly divergent here, looking at the RSI and the stochastics, and indeed the DMI down below as well. We've come up towards the top end of the Bollinger Bands, and we could be seeing a bit of a turnaround here on this one. So, if this were to be the case, now we can see if this continues to trace it like it did before, but we're getting that red candle in there at the minute, and I would look towards whether or not we get a move down towards the median line here where the 21 EMA is. If I just jump on up the time frames, then you can see that we've kind of been doing that already on the 12-hour. If we got towards the 24-hour, then you can see then here where we'd be looking at for the sort of the median line would be at 225, and we've come up and we put these highs in, the latest highs, without that bearish divergence that we saw just between these 2 points here, that we saw, for instance, between the previous 2 points. So we've thrown off the shackles, I like to call it, of bearish divergence that we've had between this high. This high is that even higher though? That's just not even higher, but kind of the class B effect of that with this movement towards the top side. But I would say that it's not looking particularly strong. We've not got an increase in volume to go along with it, and it's really just largely part of an overall sideways area here when the overall markets are actually just kind of consolidating too. This is going up towards the top end. If we did see it going up towards that 2750 area, then I would potentially expect to see a pullback from there, looking towards the 244 area. I tend not to do that sort of thing, but this is Ethereum versus Bitcoin. Ain't nobody trading it, so I don't feel so bad about saying stuff like that. Great, groovy, lovely. In fact, what about the Bitcoin thing? Like, we didn't talk about it. It's too much noise in there. That's the 24-hour time frame. And looking at it, see the contracting towards each other, coming in right at the top of that there line. Oh, there you go. There's a bit of bonus material for you. Great, nice, good stuff. Moving on, going on a link. Catch you later. Hit that subscribe button. If you stayed through to this part of the video, then you're a special type of hero. I love people that put in all of the watch hours. That's just fantastic. You know, you really do help the channel grow so much just by watching the video through. So thank you so much. But yeah, hit that subscribe button, you know, and hit that like button and join the community. We do these videos every day. And yeah, we're all waiting there with open arms. Come and join us. Big family, happy family. Good to have you part of it. Catch you later. I'm going to take a look at the links.